Please like and subscribe. Let's grow NAIA basketball. Thank you. Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Thursday, January 4th, 2024. We're going to go through a lot of conference action last night. A couple big upsets. We're going to talk about those. And do the Jamestown Jimmies still have something in them? Well, maybe we're going to find out. We'll talk about that as well. Why don't we just get right to it? We're going to start with the Crossroads. Let's take a closer look. Turn the magnifying glass on. There you can see Huntington. Huntington defeated Mount Vernon Nazarene, and that was over in Ohio. That was a big win for Huntington. They're starting to come on. Indiana Wesleyan beat Spring Arbor. We're going to talk more about that game. That was a good game. Grace beat Taylor at home. That was expected. One of the better games in the Crossroads, Bethel beat St. Francis. Bethel is 12-2. Drew Lutz, he scored 30 points in that game. Nathan Ertz, he added 18 and, a couple handfuls of rebounds, typical Nathan Ertz game. But Bethel is really looking tough. They got a real strong inside presence, and they got some really good outside shooting to go with it. So look out for Bethel. Marion beat Goshen as expected. So real quick, there's really not enough games to talk about in the standings, but I just wanted to point out, if you look at the top of the group here, and this is pretty, but Grace is 4-0, Bethel, Indiana Wesleyan, and Marion. But this is one of the things I really like, and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, was I like when conference action starts because a lot of teams you never really thought too much about, during the preseason, turn up right at the top of their conferences. In that Grace game, they beat Taylor 104-76. Bryson Graber, one of the top point guards in the country, really good facilitator. Typically, that's his role. Tonight he scored 24 points. Gage Sefton, good young athlete for Grace, 22 points, 5 rebounds. On Twitter I said that's what the world needs is Grace to have 2 more top scorers. They are super deep. They are a very good team. They're 14-0. And they're going to play Goshen on Saturday. Another big game in the Crossroads, number 9, Indiana Wesleyan. They had to go up to Spring Arbor. Spring Arbor gave them a good game. It was a dogfight down the stretch. Spring Arbor made a big run at them toward the end of the game, but Indiana Wesleyan hit the shots when they needed them, made their free throws, and they won this game up in Michigan 71-66. Nathan Childress was really tough. He almost carried the Wildcats tonight. Really good game, 33.7 rebounds. Of course, Griffin Cleaver, he tossed in 13 for good measure. The Wildcats now are 12-2, and they'll play St. Francis on Saturday. Over in the Mid-South Conference, only one game over there. Georgetown played a non-conference game, but I wanted to point out that they're sorry, sometimes it's hard for me to bring these tools up. They don't play conference games until Thursday, January 11th. So, but right now, if you look at the standings, these are the top 4. This is Campbellsville. I'm going to mess it up. Campbellsville, Freed-Hardman, Cumberland's Campbellsville, Freed-Hardman, and Georgetown. Look at the records of these teams, 13-1, 12-2, 11-2. These are very, very good basketball games or basketball teams, and when this conference gets underway, I think that's going to be a real dogfight. For Georgetown tonight, 95-60, they beat Miami Hamilton. Jabrion Spikes, 19 points, 3 rebounds. Rashad Bishop, 16 points, 5 rebounds. So they go to 11-2, and they'll play Carolina Christian tonight. Full night of action in the KCAC. Of course, the big game here, if I can find it, Southwestern Kansas, there we go. Kansas Wesleyan beat Southwestern 96-92. A little bit like the Indiana Wesleyan game. Kevin Clark, he hit a 3 late, brought the Jinx within 2. It looked like they were going to give, they were maybe pull it out. Kansas Wesleyan, they executed and they hit their free throws down the stretch. York, they beat Bethel. That was a good win for them. Sterling beat Evangel. McPherson won. Oklahoma Wesleyan, they beat Avila as expected. Ottawa, good win over Bethel. They needed that. I didn't get a score on the Tabor game. So let's move over to the standings real quick. Real quick. So Kansas Wesleyan 6-1. So this is another good example of what I was talking about earlier. For the last 4 to 6 weeks, all the conversation in the KCAC has been surrounded around Oklahoma Wesleyan and Southwestern. And then you pull up the early standings, and Kansas Wesleyan is at the top. And we're working to get Coach on, Coach Monson, on tomorrow, and I think we'll be able to get him. So tune in for that. That was a big win. So hopefully we can get him. Let's take a closer look at those games. In that Southwestern game, of course, Kansas Wesleyan beat them 96-92. Alex Littlejohn, 31 points, 13 rebounds. John Murdoch, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists to fill up that stat line. Southwestern now, they leave the, boy, are they 11-1? No, they're 12-1. Yeah. They're not unbeaten. Anyway, they're not unbeaten. And they're going to play McPherson on Saturday. So Oklahoma Wesleyan, they won at Avila 77-53. Jaden Litsky, 17 points, 4 rebounds. And Dylan Phillip, 15 points, 3 rebounds. They're 12-1. They're going to play Sterling on Saturday. So let's look at the GPAC. A couple of non-cons. Dakota Wesleyan lost to a North Star. That's always a rivalry when those two conferences meet up. 90-89. Doane also won a non-conference game. But Jamestown beat Concordia in the Newman up there in Jamestown. That's a game, it wasn't a must-win for Concordia, but it was really a chance for Concordia to make a move there in the GPAC. They've been struggling all year to get in the top 25. We talked to Coach Limback the other day. So it was a tough loss for Concordia, but a big win for Jamestown. Here's a game right here to look at on Saturday. Morningside is going to travel to Hastings. I know I mentioned it yesterday. So real quick, the standings really haven't changed, but you can see that was a big hit for Concordia. They're now 4-3, but Jamestown, they're at 3-4. I got to make it a little bit bigger. Jamestown is at 3-4, and then to get in that top 4, they got to go to 4-3. But what I wanted to show you, the reason I point that out is Jamestown is 1 weekend away from being in the top 4. That's how crazy the GPAC is. The WAC tonight, a lot of games, but one big game, overtime game. Lawrence Tech beat Lourdes, another previously unbeaten team, 71-68. We're going to talk more about that game in just a minute. Big win for Lawrence Tech. Aquinas, they beat Northwestern Ohio. Rochester beat Siena Heights tonight. Cornerstone, they beat the heck out of Port Clary. I think Clary's going to have a long season. Madonna, we'll talk about them in a moment. They won tonight. And Indiana Tech. So let's go over to the standings. Again, in the WAC, you got that same situation. Again, in the WAC, all the conversation has been around Lourdes. Well, knock. Here we go. Madonna's 7-0. Rochester's 6-1 with Lourdes. Indiana Tech, who at the start of the season thought, they lost. Coach Elbert lost everybody. And there he is. He's tied for second, 7 games into the WAC. So this is going to be a dogfight. In that Lourdes loss, it was 71-68. They lost in overtime. For Lawrence Tech, Brandon Beavers, 27 points, 12 rebounds for the double-double. Alejandro Gonzalez, 19 points, 2 rebounds. So Lord's now 10-1, and they're going to play Cleary on January 10th. Chicagoland, just a couple games, but Olivet Nazarene, they won. They beat St. Francis. Judson beat Poor East-West. Literally, I think they're 0-21. I mean, I didn't look it up, but that's what I remember is they were 0-20. They're having a long season. So Roosevelt's still at the top of the conference, of course, and Olivet Nazarene is at 4-1 now. IU South Bend 5-0. It's early, but it's really starting to look like in this conference, Roosevelt, South Bend, and Olivet Nazarene are kind of the teams to beat. Obviously, these teams at 3-2, they can certainly, but they're going to need a couple of wins here in the next week or so. In that Olivet Nazarene game, they won 69-59. Tyler Schmidt, 21 points, 4 rebounds. Sam Emick, 19 points, 6 rebounds. They're 10-3, and they're going to play Indiana Northwest on Saturday. Well, I'm trying a new format. Whenever I do that, the show always gets bumpy. But I really like to concentrate on the top 25 as the base to work from, and then what's going on in the conferences. Because you got to, I don't care where you're ranked all year, I mean, you got to win your conference. And if you win your conference, you're going to do well in the seeding. And, you know, the conference is the prize. And I might be wrong, but I've been watching NAIA basketball a long, long time. You got to do well in your conference. If you don't win it, you better come in the top 2 or 3 because you want to win that golden ticket at the end of the year to get into that round of 64. So just bear with. We'll continue. If you don't want me to focus on the conferences, let me know. But that is the prize we have to keep an eye on. Hey, this is Billy D. Tomorrow we'll have Coach Monson. And until then, you have a good day. And don't forget to go watch your favorite NAIA basketball team because it's the best entertainment value in America. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.